So instead of giving you guys a pitch, I'm actually going to talk a little bit more about what the people up here were talking about. I'm going to give you guys a great chiropractic story. So how many of you got involved in chiropractic because either you or someone you know was impacted by chiropractic? It's almost everyone, right? Okay. So back in 1969, my dad enlisted in the Marine Corps. So he was an immigrant to this country, and he wanted to serve his country that was now his new home. He came over here from Scotland. So my dad enlisted in the Marine Corps. Vietnam's getting going on. My dad enlisted, and he's a small guy. My dad's 5'6". He enlisted in the Marine Corps. He was 112 pounds. They bulked him up to about 165, and he's out there doing hand-to-hand combat. He goes up against a guy who's about 6'2", 220. And they used pugil sticks back then to fight hand-to-hand combat. So I don't know if you guys remember American Gladiators. They fight, you stand, you try and knock someone off. It was that. Except there wasn't a cushion on the end. It was a wooden block. So my dad gets hit in the side of the head, flips upside down, lands on his head, passes out cold. So they send him to the infirmary. They wake him back up, send him back out there. Over the next couple of weeks, my dad's knees start to have issues. He's having pain. There's some issues there. So they say, well, there must be something wrong with his knees. Maybe it's from running in combat boots or handball. So they take him into surgery. And this, at the time when they would do this surgery, they just numb you from the waist down. So my dad was awake for this surgery. They open up his knee. The surgeon says there's nothing wrong with this guy's knee. So they send him back out. My dad continues to deteriorate. He goes from 185 pounds down to 86 pounds, full quadriplegic, in a wheelchair, with no use of his hands or legs. So the Marine Corps medically discharges him, and they start sending him to every hospital in the U.S. And they can't figure out what's wrong with him. So they keep offering him drug or surgery, right? And so the doctors were giving them what they had. So my dad remembers looking, lying in the hospital bed, looking up at the ceiling, going, if I don't get out of here, they're going to kill me. So my dad goes home, and he just thinks he's going to be in a wheelchair the rest of his life. So my grandmother, his mother at the time, was seeing a chiropractor for her Addison's disease. So she noticed when she would get adjusted, she could take half the medication, and it worked just as well. So she tried to convince my dad to come. He doesn't really want to go. Chiropractors are quacks, right? What do they know? How are they going to help me? The Marine Corps sent me the best and brightest. So after a year of being in a wheelchair, my dad relents. He goes and sees this chiropractor. Well, the chiropractor my grandmother was seeing at the time was Dr. Ian Grasson. So Dr. Ian takes an x-ray of my dad and goes, I can fix you. So my dad's atlas was shoved into his spinal cord, but there was no structural damage. So my dad starts getting adjusted every day by Dr. Ian. After 6 weeks, he was riding a bike. After 6 months, he was walking with a cane. A year later, he was better. My dad looks at Dr. Ian and says, how can I ever repay you? And Ian, being the chiropractor that he was, says, go to chiropractic college. So my dad goes to St. Louis, starts chiropractic college, and he starts following, his mentors were Dr. Ian Grasson, Dr. Jimmy Gregg, and Dr. John Hoffman. So these were kind of like my uncles growing up. So my dad starts following them around. They were kind of three amigos, and so he was going to DE, which there was only one principal chiropractic seminar, and back in the day it was DE, so everyone was in one place. And so my dad goes to DE, and Jimmy Gregg ends up introducing my dad to this woman who was there because she was a CA in her dad's office. They later got married, and that became my mom and dad. So my parents met. So basically, we come from a lineage of chiropractors, so that's on both sides of the family. So my brother is a chiropractor, my dad's a chiropractor, his brother's a chiropractor, my mom's sister's a chiropractor, her husband's a chiropractor, my grandfather's a chiropractor. My grandfather's brother was actually a founding member of Life University, so it's aunts, uncles, cousins. We married into chiropractic families, so we have a bunch of chiropractors in our family. So how does that all relate to Fortis, right? So my brain does not work science. I've been adjusted since birth. I think I'm more of a chiropractor than a lot of chiropractors out there today. But how we got started was my brother was running a really large clinic. And so I'm a tech guy. And we were running a payments company. He approached us and he said, hey, on the 1st and 15th, my staff has their head down in a terminal trying to collect payments. Can you guys help us? So we started trying all these different technologies, and none of the technologies really worked. So we ended up building our own system. So we built our own platform that integrates into most of the EHRs like Platinum and Genesis and Chiropractic and all the different ones. And we just made payments easier, right? We want frictionless payments. So we want to do things like storing patients' cards on file. There's a reason why Amazon does it, right? One-click checkout. We want to make frictionless payments. Sharing cards across patient accounts. splitting payments so you can run a single payment but have it post to multiple patient ledgers, whether that be for your one-time or your care plan payments. Mobile payments, you can text pay links to patients. We really want to make it easy, right? Because the whole goal when we were building this, my focus is we want to collect the money. We want to make that easy, right? If Dr. Ian was focused on what was happening at the front desk instead of that adjustment when he was giving it to my dad every day, I might not be here today, right? And so we want chiropractors focused on the adjustment. We will handle the payments at the front with your staff. So we just want to make it easy. So whether you're using us and you have questions, come see us at our booth. If we can help you in any way, or even if you're not using us and you just have questions, we're here to help, right? For us, this is about giving back to chiropractic. This isn't about us. So we're here to help. If you have any questions, please stop by and say hello. Thank you.